Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first thing we need to do is approve the agenda.
So moved.
Casey,
Second.
and Jill. It's moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next I need to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Sean and Jill. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Let's go to recognitions.
Yeah, I was to take the opportunity to give a shout out to the greater educational community, but specifically the staff. We had the Longhorn Festival and then the K-8 Field Day last Friday, and then homecoming, all last week. And it was great fun for the kids, but it only takes place because the staff is there to take care of it and make it happen. You guys think about it. You think about your own schooling way back when. As humans, we don't really remember facts. We remember emotions. And so those kind of events, I don't know if it helps a kid learn how to read anymore at all, but it definitely does create a connection with Holcomb. So I thought that was a great celebration. So.
All right, let's move to financials. Mike.
Okay, on page 3, in the middle, I'll just point out Heartland seating for the bleachers at the high school. We made a payment, $389,058. And then just below that, High Plains Co-op, our second payment to them for the year, $102,098.68. And then on page 4, Lewis Chevrolet of Dodge City for the new Chevy Suburban, $72,200. And then on page 6, total warrants of $865,467.59. And it's high because of those things I just mentioned. And then page 8, our cash balances are okay. And same with page 10 with our balances. And then behind that's our transfers and our high school, middle school reports. So if you have any questions.
Well, if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financials at $865,467.59.
So moved.
Jill.
Second.
Casey. Moved and seconded to approve the financials. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, no public patron concerns, so administrative reports, Dr. Myers.
Got a couple things to talk to you about. On Friday, this last Friday, the KASB was here and hosted their Leadership for Tomorrow Academy. There are 21 people from across the state are in this. They're board members, superintendents, principals, SPED directors, curriculum directors, whatnot. They came here back in April, I think it was. One of their people had reached out to me and said, hey, would you mind if we came to visit the land of the Longhorns? That'd be great. I'd love to have you here. And so we spent from 8:30 to 12 with them, basically going through the 8 characteristics of quality board members, what makes a good board team, and then dovetailed under that all the different things we're doing. And I'm here to tell you, your principals, they just rocked it. They did a great job. They really did a nice job of representing the district. And they were very complimentary, the people who took part in the event. So that's all good. Something we're working on, I've talked to you about this a while back, but now I'm getting closer to having it done. We're in the process of building an endowment scholarship, which would be purely for graduates of Holcomb who go to Garden City Community College would be the only people eligible for this. We've worked it out with our Plan 125 group. If anyone wants to contribute to it, the way we've got it set up is it'll be like a match, kind of like right now with the 403B plan that we have, which is a match. Then the district would put up to $2,000 into it. Once we hit I think it's $10,000 is the level it has to hit for it to go on forever and ever. Then it'll just keep rolling. And the idea ultimately will be a graduate from Holcomb will be able to get this award one time, and to keep it going forever, we'll use the interest income. Will be actually pay for the scholarship that they yet. Two Wednesdays ago, out of the blue, the Commissioner of Education showed up here. He was out in western Kansas and called to say, hey, able to come by? I said, sure, come on by. Both Randy and, not Randy, Tyler and Jerry were involved in the MTSS training, so they were not able to join, but Randy and Amy did. And so we talked with Randy Watson, that's the Commissioner of Education, about KISA, the teacher shortage, early childhood, a variety of different things. And the ladies really did a very nice job. They did not embarrass me. That's the important thing. The last thing to talk about is this week, Wednesday, is the initial Soup with the Soup event. So we've got 10 people invited. We randomly drew the names, and they'll be in this room. And board members, you're welcome to come. If 4 show up, I'll have one of you go to a different room to eat your soup someplace else. But it'll be 11:30 on Wednesday. So come on in and have the best cheesy potato soup going. One last thing. Principals, I know you'll just be all tither about this. Got notification today. We received 2 Star Awards from the State Department of Education for graduation, a gold one, and post-secondary effectiveness, a copper one. There you go. That's my report, Mr. Jones.
Right. Thank you. I've got grounds next.
Nothing further.
And buildings. Nothing for them either?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Transportation. Sam?
Nothing other than my report.
Okay. Food services.
Nothing further.
Mr. Ackerman?
Nothing further.
Okay. Let's move to principals then. Good
And
job,
before we do
guys.
that, I do want to mention 3 of the directors are going to a training this week for classified directors in Topeka on Thursday, guys. Yeah. So go off and go to the city, the capital city of. Yeah, we send our people to Topeka. It's not going to Vegas or anything like that. But it's just professional learning on how to lead a division of your school. So
They say Topeka's just like Vegas.
yeah, it is.
All right, Amy, Wiley Elementary.
On Thursday, we have Amanda Rucker from TASN coming in to work with our staff at Holcomb Elementary and Wiley Elementary. We've been really focusing on our core instruction for reading and making sure that we are doing some best teaching practices. And so she's talked to our team through our monthly meetings about different instructional strategies and opportunities for students' responses during the teaching and things like that. So we asked her if she would be able to come out and model some of the things that we've learned about. And so she's coming out this Thursday, and we'll have the opportunity to go into each grade level, K through 5, and then also sit in on their team PLCs, because on Thursdays we also have our PLCs. And then after school that day, we will have a whole staff meeting with both buildings that will kind of debrief and get to go over that all together. So we're looking forward to her visit on Thursday. Do you want me to introduce? No. Okay.
Thank you, Amy. All right, Mrs. Tyne.
This past month, our elementary counselors worked together to put together Start with Hello Week. This originated from the Sandy Hook Promise, and so we've participated in this for the past several years. And some of the activities that we do, Name Tag Monday, we celebrate our names. Everybody wears a name tag, and we greet each other by our names. Trusted Adult Tuesday, so we talked about all of the adults put outside their door why students can trust them and why they can come to them with anything they might need. On Wednesday, we had Mix It Up Wednesday at lunch, and so they got a different color straw to kind of mix them up, sit with some different people at lunch, and they had like some conversation starters there. Thankful Thursday, they complimented their classmates and wrote those out on sticky notes. And then on Friday, we had High Five Friday, and we had our high school students come down and greet all of our kids as they came to school at the doors. They were all in their uniforms and stuff like that, so that was pretty exciting. Was fun. Hopefully we'll be able to do that a couple more times throughout the year. So it was a great week. Shout out to our counselors for putting that together and coming up with things that get our students talking and interacting with each other and with different people.
All right, thank you. Mr. Helton.
Just two quick things. One, just a reminder to families listening that we do have another early release at the middle school and the high school this Wednesday. It is pretty recent to the one we had in September. Had to move that date forward a week because of a conflict. So that's why these two feel a little close together on top of each other. We'll have our trainer from Delaware in town to help us with MTSS for our teachers. So that's going to be a good training. So just a reminder to families about the early release. And then second, just kudos to our students and our staff for our K-8 field day on Homecoming Friday. We wanted to think of a way to get the middle school and elementary kids together, and the kids, if you ever want to see middle school kids excel at something, especially when you can so easily get frustrated with them, put them in charge of a group of little kids. They rose to it and they were awesome. And Mrs. Tyne didn't share them yet with us, but she had a list of funny things she heard a middle school kid saying, like, I mean, these kids just don't listen. Thanks. So it was great for everyone involved. Logistically, there's always things you can get better at. So we're already planning to make next year better. So thanks again to your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Johnson.
At the high school, one thing that we're really trying to work on this year is we set a culture goal every year. Last year was students feeling valued. This year it's about intrinsic motivation. We really challenged our student council to kind of come up with something. We really want to make our student council more than just in charge of homecoming dance. And so we really pushed hard last year to try to get a lot of people into student council because we wanted to start leadership groups this year. And what our leadership groups are is each student council member is in charge of about 10 to 11 students in the high school. And so last Thursday was our first time to do a student leadership group. They came up with their own goal this year with the new MTSS that we're doing in standards-based grading. They feel like intrinsic motivations is all factored around what our purpose is. And I was really proud of our board members of our student council because they said, especially some of the upperclassmen, they have no idea what their why is. And they said it's really tough to have a purpose or have motivation if you don't really know what your why is. It came out of a college speech class. They had to write a speech over what their why is. And they said, as a senior, if I don't know my why is, then how do freshmen know what their why is? And if I don't know my why, then what's my motivation for what my purpose is? So I thought it was really kind of cool. We're attacking that. So we're going to have 4 leadership groups set up throughout the year, and that's what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about how do you start to develop what your why is, not what their why should be. They're not talking about that. It's more of how do you develop a why and how do you start to think about it. So our kids blow me away all the time about how adult they are. Sometimes they help us out and teach us things. So really impressed with our student council.
All right, thank you. Let's move to unfinished business and new teachers at Wiley and Holcomb Elementary.
Each year, of course, we hire new teachers, new staff members, and it's always nice in the beginning of the school year to introduce to the board the new people who have come to us. This month, we'll have Amy and Randy will introduce the new teachers at the elementary division.
Okay, I have Ashlyn Zambrano. She is teaching first grade for us, and she student taught at Wiley last semester with Mindy Cornelson. So we were able to snag her up, and we're thrilled to have her here. So welcome, Ashlyn. In second grade, I have Amy Callahan. She's joining us from Garden. I recruited her over from there and very, very happy that she chose us. So thankful that she's here for second grade. And I also have Tori Gonzalez. She's been amazing and super flexible. She was hired for preschool. And last minute, when we didn't have a long-term sub for all the positions that we needed filled, I went to her and said, I really need you to help me out in those positions. So she just finished her first long-term stint in Christy Trickey's class, and now she's moved on to Allison Caldrone's that started today. So thank you so much for being flexible, Tori.
Remember the old movie, Have Gun Will Travel? It's Have Lesson Plan Will Travel. Is what for Tori.
Okay, and at Holcomb Elementary, we have Jacob Bynum. And Jacob Bynum has worked at Holcomb Elementary for a few years. And this year we had an open position, and he applied and stepped into that position as a High Plains teacher. So we're happy to have him in that role this year. And we have Jill Sowers, and Jill is teaching 3rd grade for us, and she is from Garden City. Jill and I actually taught together my first year in Garden City, so I'm excited to have her out at Holcomb on our team. I have 2 that were unable to be here tonight. Molly Morgan, she is our other High Plains teacher, support teacher, and she is coming from Deerfield. She was teaching 1st grade there, so we're happy to have her. And then also Elizabeth Friesen. Elizabeth did some work here as she was going to school, did some of her internships in like Mrs. Richmeier's room and a couple other rooms, but got a position over at Garden City last year as a student teacher, and her students are in the district, so came out to teach 3rd grade for us here, so we're happy to have her as well.
And of course, you're all more than welcome to hang around. I would understand, though, if you don't want to be. You can always go home and listen to this, because we are streaming.
We're getting to the good stuff. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Let's move to standards-based grading.
Alrighty, as you well know, we've had a couple years of piloting the standards-based grading approach at the high school, and this year we are fully launched. And so it's only appropriate, as something new like this is taking place, is to come before you every so often. So got it set up for every quarter. Jerry and or his representatives will be here to just talk to you about what we're seeing, what's going on. As with anything new, there's going to be learning, obviously. There's going to be stubbing of toes, but I will say, as far as the process of implementation goes, I'm really impressed with how Jerry and his leadership team have gone about this. A nice slow build. Doesn't mean it's perfect by any means, but it does mean that we're working hard at it, looking to improve at every turn. So with that, Mr. Johnson. Is it Google that's causing problems?
It's just me.
I think it's Google.
The slideshow that I'm showing you, this is created by 3 of our BLT members. We have 3 teachers right now that have an extra, I want to call MTSS hour. What during that time is they're there to help teachers. It's 3 of our better teachers, more veteran teachers in the district, and I charge them with kind of the beginning of this is with BLT, or not the BLT, with standards-based grading, when we bring on new people, how do we onboard our new people and get them the information that's necessary? Sorry. Get them the message or the information that's necessary in order to be able to really take hold. And then they're able to meet with these teachers on their planning periods. And so this is what they came up with. They put together a slideshow that really talks about all the different parts that we have about standards-based grading, which we presented here several different times about what our standards-based grading and the reasons that we went with it. I do think that one thing that solidified for me was how many people on Friday came up in this roundtable discussion we had of other people coming in and wanting to know about standards-based grading because they said they're going to it. This isn't something that is going to come and go. It's kind of the new wave of how you, am I not talking into it? Sorry. This is your problem. You bragged on me, and then I totally went the other way.
Mr. Ackerman is so helpful. Thank you.
I feel like this thing is like in my nose. the best thing about the standards-based grading is we're actually able to depict where the level of learning at is for each one of our students. And we do that through our 5 criteria that they've gone over. Like we said, again, these are the 5 criteria we presented on multiple different times. I won't bore you with going through all of it, other than I just wanted to kind of show you, again, the onboarding process they've talked about. One of the biggest things they do talk about is implementation from a teacher standpoint. What's the best way for them to implement that? So I thought that was really pertinent to be able to see. The first thing that we have to be able to do is clearly understand what our standards, what we're teaching and why we're teaching those standards. And I think that's the biggest part of standards-based grading is you clearly define what the state has set forward from us. Is that what we have to use the curriculum in our classroom? And then you use the assessments in order to determine the level of learning with that. You pull out all the other points from it so you can actually tell where they're at. You build your instruction around the assessment for each standard, and then you develop your quick checks along the way to make sure that the students are on par with those standards. We have put together a learning scale that will be up in each one of our classroom, and this is kind of how they fully understand what the standard looks like. 4 means that they fully understand it. We did add a 3.5 with it because whenever we're looking at it, if you know, as a teacher, if you want to try to grade something and it's not quite a 4, but it's not necessarily a 3.2, there has to be a middle wiggle room there. So that's why we added a 3.5, and that was at the suggestion of Matt Townsley, who is the professor from Northern Iowa that's really helped us out with the standards-based grading. They said that's what they did at Salon, Iowa, that really helped them out. And so we took his advice, and the teachers really liked that because it gives them a little leeway there. All the way down to how do you do standards-based grading in the grade book, how you put it in, everything you put in for it, and then how to read the standards-based grading. So this is a sample of what we've taken from somebody's grade book, and it kind of shows a little bit moving through what is there. So everything that you see up there is points are recorded, that's an assessment. We still track, many of our teachers still track what homework has been turned in or not, and that's through a green check. If it's missing, then parents are able to see what's missing also, so they know that, again, with standards-based grading, homework doesn't count, but homework is still really important. We're starting to see that right now. We're going through an implementation dip that they said we would go through, where students are really grappling with the fact of, you know, do I need to do the homework? Do I not do the homework? And they're really finding out right now that they need to do the homework. And so it's really helped with their process. The biggest piece of standards-based grading that makes it better is that students don't learn all at the same pace. And so there's a relearning plan that's always there so that people have the opportunity to go back and relearn and reassess on their own time. Again, I think the biggest piece of this is the state assessment doesn't care when you learn it, but you're going to be assessed at some point. And so if we're being held to the standard of state assessment scores, then our students need to learn the material. And when they learn it, if they learn it all at the same time, or if somebody learns it a week later than what the other ones have learned it, we still have to learn the material. And I think that's the biggest thing that has really been helpful so far this year with our students is there's not an option of not knowing it. And when we raise the bar, the students will meet the expectation of it. And that's how we move forward and get better, is when we set the bar a little higher. This is a great example of what some of our teachers are using for a reassessment checklist. The best part that I love about this right now is it's on the students to go back and to do the time management to set up the reassessment. Students don't have to go back and reassess. Nobody says they have to, unless, now we have said that if a student only scores a 2 out of 4, that they have to go back and reassess. If they score a 3 out of 4, that's up to the student if they want to go back. But the student is the one that has to make contact with the teacher. So it's like being an adult. You have to be the one that sets that up and goes back over, and then you have to set up your different criteria for it. Here's some of the examples of the rubrics that our teachers are using, so that this is how they grade. their different assessments. This one specifically is from Mrs. Bowler in our world history classes. You don't notice a 3.5 on this one because this was taken from last year's rubric. She has adjusted it this year because of the addition of the 3.5. But students know this is how she does she starts out her units. She hands this to the students and says, this is what you're going to be assessed on. So you know exactly what it's going to take in order to get to a 4, and you're going to know exactly what it takes in order to get to a 3. So the clarity that's taking place between the teacher and the students, they know exactly what they need to do in order to get to score a 4 on that standard. Now, how she assesses them could be different. Sometimes she does it through a project. Sometimes she does it through a test. Sometimes it's a conversation. But they know exactly they're going to have to come up with the reasons be able to get to that 4. This is another one from world history. An example. Then we have another one from world history. Mrs. Bowler has done a good job with her rubrics. And then you have one for math, or this one's for chemistry. This is Mrs. Arteries for chemistry, so you can kind of see the different types of standards down there to the side and how they score them. And then you have one for math also. We held a meeting 2 weeks ago with all freshman parents that was attended pretty well. They come out and ask for the understanding of it, and that went really well. Our next kind of thing that we're working towards with standards-based grading is just getting teachers more confident with it and then students understanding. You guys have any questions?
So you mentioned on Friday, from the Leadership for Tomorrow group, Jerry, the people who stopped by your table to talk to you. We had people representing, from all the way from Baldwin City, to Deerfield. We had people from all over the state. There are probably, 10 different districts represented at least, maybe more. In the conversation at your table, just kind of dig into that a little bit, please. Their interest in what was going on.
Everybody's dabbling in it. Everybody's trying to figure it out because the new systems of accreditation that's coming out, they're saying that you have to have some kind of system to be able to justify how are the standards being taught and how are you truly identifying which standards you're teaching and targeting those standards. You're going to have to be able to justify that whenever you're getting called to the carpet for state assessment scores. And so everybody's trying to dabble in it, but nobody's fully gone through it. And so they were asking questions. How did you start it? How did you get people on board? Because they're all where we were about two and a half years ago. They're seeing the same things. Their state assessment scores and their FastWords data aren't aligned to what their GPAs are. And cheating is running rampant. Right now we're fighting not only the taking the picture of the math problems and it does all the problem for you, and all you have to do is write down exactly what the math problem, like the picture has said to do it. Now you have AI coming out where they're saying it will write the paper for you in the language that you've been using if you just talk to it for about 2 minutes. It'll write a full paper for you. So how do you combat that and try to actually understand what the level of learning of the student is and justify that? You have to come up with a different grading system. Our traditional grading model doesn't fit with the technology that we have at the time. That's been the biggest thing that they're seeing.
What data do you have on retention of the assessment?
On the what do you mean by that?
Well, like if they learn the standard, if they get a 4 on the standard this week, in a month, do they still know the standard? What kind of data do you have to know how long they know the standard?
Most of your standards spiral back in. So if the data would be in the fact that the standards build on top of each other, I guess. It's no different than what you'd have in like a traditional grading model, right? You took the difference was if you took a chapter 1 test all the way back then, and you're taking a chapter 20 test now, it's building on top of each other, the models that you're doing. So specific data to be able to say, some teachers probably have it because they assess the same standard over and over again because there's only 5 to 6 key standards that you need. not that you need, but that you're actually asked to do. Like, for example, world or history, the field that I am certified in, there's only 6 standards. And so you take those 6 standards and you apply those 6 standards across the board to the entire beginning of time to the end. So your data that would be is I'm assessing them every unit or every time period, I'm assessing that same standard. And so if I assess choices have consequences is one of the standards. If I do that in the Renaissance and Reformation, then I'm assessing that again in the American Revolution compared to the other one. And so then I take the average of all those assessments I have, and that's what how it ends up to a final grade. So math is be the same way, right? I mean, you build, they have what they call cluster standards. So each individual standard isn't necessarily assessed, but they assess the cluster, and then that cluster is built upon the other cluster. Well, how does your data know if you know it or not? If you can still score well on the other standards, you have that base standard that you understand.
Are most teachers assessing by tests, or is there, I mean, or what is the majority of them doing, or do you know?
Like a physical test?
Yeah.
I would say probably as much as what it used to be. So you still had some people that they'll have an assessment, which is a project. You'll have some teachers that do like the physical test. You have some that do like a physical performance, right? Some that you do like an art where you're creating something. I think it's pretty similar to what we had been doing. But the biggest advantage of when you do the relearning reassessment, you don't take the entire assessment again. You're only taking the part that you didn't score well on. So if I take a test and it's 70 questions long, but it's over 5 different standards, and I've proved that on these 3 standards I'm doing really well on, I don't reassess on those standards. I go and reassess on the standard that I didn't do well on. That's the intervention that we're applying.
One last thing really to mention about this, well, two actually. I think that's an excellent point about the emerging technologies and trying to figure out, the old systems of grading and whatnot. When if you've not seen something created by GPT, do it. It's incredible. It really is amazing. The entire academic community is grappling with this very concept. I have a nephew-in-law who teaches at Wichita State University, freshman comp. And what they are thinking about doing, higher ed, at least Wichita State, is just turn something in. We don't care how you get it, just turn it in. Meaning you can use ChatGPT, right? And then what the learning will be is back mapping it. So then why does that comma go there? Explain your voice in this particular essay. Why did you choose this particular fact or persuasion, to use? So tearing it apart. So that's a complete shift from back when I was in the classroom, or even 3 years ago, when they said, okay, turn in an essay on Mussolini. Turn one in. Well, now it's done for you. If you've not seen it, go online. It's pretty amazing. The other thing to think about on this is the KSDE is pushing this initiative. You don't hear too many speeches given by Randy where it doesn't come up. Or Ben Proctor, that's the deputy director on the DLS side, Division of Learning Services. So yeah, we're on the bleeding edge of this, but others are coming, as far as the state goes. So there you go.
All right, let's move to capacity building update and setting a hearing date.
All righty. This is that whole new law I've been talking about off and on for months. Bottom dollar, by January 1, every school district in the state of Kansas has to have policies in place for non-resident students, opening up the borders, and then a piece of that is setting the capacity per grade level. Okay, that's the end game. To get there, we have to. I'm talking about it tonight. I'm going to share. I've shared with you the work that the principals with their BLTs have come up with for capacity at the grade level, at each grade level, okay? Then, and I'll talk about how we got that done. Then in November, right prior to the board meeting, and the board meeting shift to 6 o'clock in November. So please remember that. That's when the 6 o'clock meetings start. We will have a public hearing. The law says we have to have a public hearing to discuss all this stuff and say, well, here's what the capacities we're choosing to use. And then be the first reading of the actual policy during the November board meeting. Then in December, the actual policy get a second read and adoption of the policy, which is all about the capacity setting itself. And so we will have, met the deadline of January 1. And then there's a secondary deadline of May 1 where the capacities themselves have to be set. Well, if we set these in December, that's before May 1. So we're fine with that. The considerations have to go into play and what the principals had to look at. The current teacher to student ratios, and then thinking, well, what could we go with? Taking into account maximum capacity of the classrooms. And Garrett had worked with a fire marshal to find out how many people could be in this room. And so that had to be taken into consideration. And then enrollment trends. That's through K-8. Then those same rules apply 9-12. Plus, though, we have to look at special programs. And so thinking, well, what's the capacity for band? What's the capacity for welding? What is it? And so going through the thought process of getting those put together. So currently, and what happens by next year, every district in the state of Kansas will have open borders. We already have open borders, right? We have since before my time. And we currently, about 20% of our student population come to us from out of district as we speak. And we use 4 criteria currently: attendance, discipline, academics, and culture, how they fit. And that all comes from the data that we're able to pull from the sending district. So currently, if someone's living in Dighton and they say, I want to go to school in Holcomb, they make application, and then the principals go through a process of saying, well, I need to see your attendance, I need to see your grades, I need to see your discipline, all this different stuff. And then ultimately they make it a determination to, yep, we think this kid would fit the Longhorns, and then pass it on to me for me to make the final decision, yes or no on it. And we do turn down people. People have been turned down. That's how it has been to this moment. Starting next year, there's only 2 criteria that can be utilized: attendance and discipline. So you take away the academics, take away the cultural aspect of this. And they went so far as to define if a student is not in good standing, that's what they're calling it, if they have less than 90% attendance of a non-excused attendance. So a person can miss more than 10 days if they're all excused. That doesn't throw them out of the water. That doesn't do it. And then the other one is discipline. If they've had 3 suspensions, that means they're no longer in good standing. So we could say, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Casey, you can't come over, because you had 4 suspensions. And that would be a criteria to do that. That starts next year. Once this gets rolling, the people who are admitted, who are with us this year actually, they're in. They're in. And once the person does get in, they don't have to reapply. They can keep, as long as they keep consistent enrollment in the Longhorns. Now, if they choose to leave and they want to come back later on, then we have to go back to the whole capacity thing and looking at it. And what the capacity thing means, boils down to, we think we can handle this many kids in that class, in that grade level. That's what it boils down to. That's our capacity. And so you have before you numbers. It should be an attachment. There's a link within the information on this particular topic. So 3 and 4-year-old, currently it's 10-1. Through Amy's work, thinks we can go to 15-1. I think that would work. And then kindergarten is currently 14-1, could go to 20-1. So that's how you read this form. And it goes all the way down, 3 and 4-year-old, all the way up to 12th grade. All right? And so that doesn't mean these all get filled by any means, but it does open up seats, if you will. In the special programs like welding, it needs to be capped at 12-1. That just the space that we have available. Other programs could go as high as 40 to 1. So, and we're gonna have to adjust that a little bit. I don't know, because I don't know how many kids are in band, Jerry. Okay, so maybe we're okay. But right now we've got it at 40 to 1. So for the bigger gatherings of classes. So if, though, let's just say 4th grade, and we think we can go to 23 to 1, all right? All of a sudden we get the numbers come in at 24 to 1, okay? The board has said, no, 23. That's what we're taking, 23. And so then there's a process, literally a lottery process. And this is where it really becomes a name, as far as I'm concerned, because in past years, people will start pre-enrolling or make application to join us, early, April. They're wanting to do it. And we're saying, well, okay, hold on, just let us get set up, let's be ready for it. Well, this thing doesn't open until June 1. So from June 1 to June 30, we're accepting, every other district is as well, accepting applications to come. And if you happen to come in and we're under the cap, under the capacity, come on in. You're not disqualified because of one of these other 2 reasons, attendance or discipline, you're in. But on June 30th is when that determination is made. But if it goes over, then we have 15 days to do this lottery process, which literally could be rolling dice, picking up, pulling straws. I mean, whatever we come up with as far as cutting cards. It's a lottery. It's luck of the draw. Now, there's provisos about siblings and all that kind of good stuff, as well. But, yeah, this is a mess as far as I'm concerned. This is a Johnson County, Sedgwick County, Shawnee County issue, but we are uniquely positioned because of Garden City. And like I said, we currently get about 20% of our student population from outside the district. It's not right to say all from Garden City, but majority of it is. And also, some of our people go there. They wake up in the morning here and they choose to go over there. So there's 2 schools of thought on this. One is, if they're going to come, they're already here. We're talking 200 kids already here. They're choosing to wake up in Garden City and come to school here. The other school of thought is, no, hold on. Katie bar the door. They're coming. And we just won't know until the game is afoot. And so the determinations and whatnot will have to be done, like I said, starting June 30. Last I checked. Amy, when's your contract up? 15th, 16th of June. Not on duty, at least according to the way the contracts are written right now. And then, wait, there's more. Let's say we hit our capacity plus some, okay? We could always buy double wides. We could get double wides. We can get them delivered maybe in time. We're not going to find more teachers. So if we say, well, let's open up sections, that'll lower the capacity, that'll lower the ratios. July 15, we're not hiring anybody. My principals work their butts off. I'm very aggressive. You going to find somebody, July 28, Randy? Maybe. Done it before, I guess. But this is how this puppy is set up. So what we need to do tonight is you need to look at these numbers. And so then when we come back, ultimately this is what I'm asking you to approve. What we've set these capacities at. We're not done by any means. The only action that takes place tonight is we need a motion to set the hearing. And then Robin has to go through the machinations of making sure it's published 2 weeks consecutively on the same day, by the way. Did you read that? And then on our website. So we'll just fill the boardroom with people coming in to talk to us about it's a regular hearing, public hearing. And so then we'll close the hearing down, and later on in the meeting, in December, rather, that's when the actual motion will take place to set it. That's it, Mr. Jones. What questions do you have for me that I could answer for you?
I like 22 to 1 better than 23 to 1 in 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay.
Just because I don't like the number 23.
You don't like Michael Jordan?
Nope.
What was Larry Bird's number?
It's 33. We're
That's
not going there. I do like 20.
I think it's a little high, 22.
Like I said, this is the first pass for you to take a look at this. I mean, I sent it to you in Friday letters, but we love input.
even have an idea at June 30th, do we? I mean, even close.
We are shooting in the dark. Now, after year one, I think we'll end up, let's say these numbers stick, just for argument's sake, then I think we'll know, well, we've got three spots available in second grade, because we know what first grade is staying around. But no, this is going to be the Wild West, year one. It's going to be nutty. I do not anticipate getting to 24-1 in sixth grade. I don't anticipate that. You can. The positive is that would enrich our diversity, our culture, and bring more people in, and of course funding comes along with that. But there's a point of diminishing returns always with when you're talking about people.
Because I think the smaller class size, is a pretty good positive.
Well, that could entice people to wake up and come this way. I think I told Matt this, but interestingly, when I went to the Jeff West district, we had a solid 11% of our population came to us from out of district. They all came from the Seaman district because the two districts touch one another. And I'm new to the area. I was in Elkhart. We didn't get people from out of district. I mean, it just didn't do that. And so I literally picked up the phone and just randomly called people and said, love having you here, but why? Why do you choose to come to Jeff West instead of staying at Seaman? 3 answers. I graduated from there, or Grandma graduated from there. It's convenient on the way to work, or my daughter wants to play volleyball. She can't make the team at Seaman. So that's it still can. That's the reason people choose to move, districts without moving themselves. By the way, all the rules of CASIA still apply. So a kid can say, well, I'm just going to go over there and play football, not without a bona fide move. And so there will be lots of misunderstanding about that. People out there will think, well, just pop back and forth. Well, once a year, you can change. But if it's a CASIA or if it's a sports thing, you're not going to be able to participate.
So they could come here for a year and then go back to Garden for a year and be eligible to play?
No, they would not be eligible to play unless they literally move across Mary Street.
Unless they physically move.
Right, a bona fide move. And yes, and Garden City would have to take them back because they sleep in the district. Yeah, exactly. They're residents. Yeah. So I don't know what problem they're trying to solve with this puppy, but it sure has made it interesting. So, and no one's going to go from here to Hugoton. It's not happening. But we don't know. We'll see if they come in, or our people choose to go somewhere else as well. I don't know. I would hope not. I wouldn't choose to go anywhere else. But anything else I could answer for you? We'll continue looking at the numbers. If you have other opinions or things, let me know.
But we do need a recommendation to set the meeting for November 13th.
The hearing. Yeah. I'd like a motion. I recommend the board to set the public hearing regarding our proposed capacities per grade level for Monday, November 13, 2023 at 6 o'clock. Properly, it should be regarding our non-resident student policy instead of how it's written on here right now.
Matt, I'll make that motion to set the hearing.
Jill?
I'll second it.
And Sean. Moved and seconded to set our public hearing for the capacities per grade level for November 13th at November 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Concession stand restroom.
All right. On Friday, Garrett and I were able to get together with Nick and his partner. Remember her name? Charissa or something like that? Yeah, anyway. Over down in the concession stand area. He thinks, given the fact that, the requirements of the toilets are going to have more, since we're going to have to do that, he thinks we're money ahead to tear the whole thing down and just start afresh. And now to mitigate that, he said, and we could cut the cost a little bit, if we would do the destruction. And Garrett and I are like, sure, game on, that'd be fun. So
His son there, he'll help you. He'll tear up.
He also thinks that He said it used to be metal was less expensive. He said that's not the case anymore. It's really evened out at this point. So I said, we're not married to metal, we're not married to brick and mortar. We just want it to look good and be functional. And so he's looking at different options on there. We still need to get a waiver from the city because given the fact that 1,500 people can attend a football game, by code, that means we need to have 22 toilets for women, for the women's bathroom, 22.
22 for women and 2 for the men.
Yeah. A couple of little pieces of this. I've already asked him, let's get a waiver. Let's try to get a waiver. And he said, okay, well, what do you think? And I said, 8. How about 8? Can we go to 8? And so he's working with the city over there. Here's the interesting piece. A toilet which is within 500 feet of the current concession stand counts toward that total. So, but they have to be accessible. So across the parking lot, what do you say is 220 feet to the corner, which is the most westerly, the westerly corner, right? Well, in there, I know there's a boys' bathroom because I used it recently, and there's a girls' bathroom. I don't know how many toilets are in that toilet, in that bathroom, but there are some. And there's the locker rooms. So maybe we'll be able to chip away at, we're not gonna hit 22, we're not gonna try to get 22, but we're gonna try to get a waiver. I did tell him the desires of what we need. More toilets, taller ordering window with garage door opening, incorporated in the ticket booth, more space for the concessions portion, and some space for some tables. Question he did ask, and I said, I don't think so, but I've got a board. That's why they exist. Is there anything sacred about those trees that are right in front of the concession stand? He doesn't think it'll be an issue. He doesn't think, he thinks there's space. But what if there's not? What if you need to go, there's 2 trees there. Anything sacred about this? Did the Jones family?
I got a chainsaw.
Okay. Well, you're not Johnny Appleseed. You didn't plant
trees around other places too. I mean,
yeah. Well, that would give more space for that. So that's my information about the concession stand restroom update, and I will be following up with Nick. Sounds like headed down this particular path. I did tell him where we'd kind of like to be with the numbers. He said, well, with that many toilets, yeah, it'd be really tight to get it there. So I said, okay, well, let's sharpen the pencils, mess with.
Can we buy the toilets at Menards? Maybe we can get them cheaper that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, the fact that he suggested if we do the tear down, I think he's willing and able to work with us wherever we can.
Okay.
Okay?
Good. All right. Let's move to new business. Site council members.
Yeah, it's just a requirement. It's been around since 1992 that every building has a site council. And so each year, the principals go about, asking for volunteers or ask people to apply. And here's the list of names that we have. And actually, Tyler was saying tonight his site council was engaged. They were working hard. That's why I walked in right as the beginning of the meeting. So I just bring this forward. I recommend approval of the site council members as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the site council members as presented.
Second.
Casey and Jill. Moved and seconded to approve the site council members as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Donation to the district.
Once again, we continue to be blessed by the largesse of our patrons, people who support us. And Brookover Land Enterprises has made a donation of $4,801 to the district. I recommend that the board accept that donation.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Sean. Moved and seconded to accept the donation made by Brookover Land Enterprises. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, disposal list. What do we got?
Oh, a couple times a year, we with principals and directors and everybody puts together a list of things that, hey, let's get rid of some stuff. And if you dig in and look at the tabs, go across the tabs. Last I looked at that document, there were 2 people who had put things in there. Randy Ackerman had put, I don't know, a couple of things in there, old iPads or something like that. And Randy Tyne, because she's the queen of disposal. Reality, it just ends up in her. Yeah. It keeps accruing in the old shop down in there.
2 toilets right here.
Yeah,
There you go. See? We'll get it.
So,
Hey, you can count to our 22. It doesn't say they have to be functional.
yeah, it doesn't mean they have to be hooked up.
It says they have to be functional.
Well, you know, we may really want to look into
on the-
this female
put 'em on the wall.
urinals on this
Yeah, I
deal,
say.
too.
What happens, if you recall on this, once the board, we can't throw away a stick of gum without board approval. And so what happens is the board, disposes of this list. Robin and I worked out a situation where we first offered up to the employees of the district if they have something academic need for these, to use these items, broken toilets, whatever. Then after, and sometimes people take things. They do. They use them. They refurbish them. They just didn't know they existed. And then if that doesn't take hold, then we take it to student organizations, say, hey, do you want to sell these? Sell an old toilet. And then ultimately, we give them, I don't know, a couple months to get this done. Finally, we pull the trigger on it, and everything gets gone at some point in time. So I recommend the board dispose of the provided list of items. And Randy Tyne wins again.
Sean
Second.
and Jill. Moved and seconded to dispose of district junk. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Treasures, yes, sorry. All right, executive session.
I've changed my mind from 10 to 25, please.
25, and to include Dr. Myers and
And principals as needed.
principals as needed. Okay, let's go in at 8 o'clock for 25 minutes to include Dr. Myers and principals as needed. Sean and Jill. Moved and seconded to go into executive session for 25 minutes at 8 o'clock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, we are back in session. I need a motion to hire Michelle Aguilera as a full-time cook.
Second.
Jill and Sean. Moved and seconded to hire Michelle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. And I need a motion to hire Jenna Beasley as a middle school assistant girls basketball coach.
So moved.
Second.
Casey and Sean. Moved and seconded to hire Jenna. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
That is all, Mr. Jones.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jill
Second.
and Casey. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.